Hi guys, so this is an Edpuzzle for Thursday, October 14th, and we are going to be doing lesson 2.1.2 in the book, um, and it has to do with basically changing decimals into fractions. So let's review decimal place value first, really quick. So with place value in the past, you guys have always, like from kindergarten on, you've learned about the ones place, like 1, 2, 3 apples. Then you learned that if you get 10 of them, you move into the place value. So you end up having 10 apples. Or if you have 15, then you have one in the tens place value because you have 10, and then five more ones. And we've learned hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, 10 millions, 100 millions, billions, and so on. But then a couple of years ago, we were like, but now there are smaller pieces than just one. So we started talking about how one whole dollar, for example, one whole dollar can be split up into 10 equal parts. Those are called dimes. So if we have dimes, each one of those is 1/10 of a dollar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So instead of having a dollar bill, we might have 10 dimes. We still have a dollar, but now it's broken up into 10 equal parts. So if we only have 9 of those, then we have 90 cents, right? So tenths is when you take one whole and you break it up into 10 equal parts. So now we can break each one of these little tiny tenths. We can take one of these dimes and we can break it up into 10 equal parts. Those become pennies if we're talking about money. So we've got 10 little pennies. So those become hundredths. We got the TH. The difference is the TH and just the DS. Tenths and tens. Thousands and thousandths. Okay, so each time we're breaking it up into smaller and smaller pieces in the decimal place value area. So smaller and smaller pieces by 10 more pieces. They just get smaller and smaller. So when we have numbers, we say them like this. So let's say we have 2.63. How we say that is 2 and 63. The 3 is in the hundredths place, so it's 2 and 63 hundredths. The 3 is in the hundredths place, so we say this as 63, but then we use the term hundredths at the end. So 2 and 63 hundredths. Okay, this one, I'm noticing there's a decimal here that always is said with the word and. Oh, that looks messy. That's okay. And the 5 here is in the tenths. So we're going to say this is 5/10. But let's look at this part here. So this all goes all the way into the thousands place. So 4,029 and 5/10. 4,029. There are no hundreds, so we don't have a hundreds place value. 4,029 and our decimal is always said with and 5/10. Now we get lazy as humans and we say 4,029.5. And that's going to be correct, but the absolute correct mathematical way of saying it is 4,029 and 5/10. Okay, then we've got this one. There's nothing in the ones place, so there's nothing that's greater than a whole. We have nothing in the tenths place, so we've got the 38 here. We say this as 38, but the 8 is in the thousands place, so we say this as 38 thousandths. 38 thousandths. Okay, so the next one, we have some in the whole numbers and we have some in the decimals. We say this as 32 And again, here's that and 7. The 7 is in the hundredths place, so hundredths, 32 and 7 hundredths. Okay, it's your turn to identify how we say some of these. So keep in mind your place value chart here. I'm going to go ahead and bring that down a little closer so that you can see it. Oh, there we go. So that you can see it. I didn't know if I could do that or not. All right, so we got this right here for the place value. And so how do you say this number right here? We've got some in the wholes and we've got some in the fractional part. Go ahead and identify which one it is. Right, so how you say this is 6 and 48. The 8 is in the hundredths place, so 48 hundredths. 6 and 48 hundredths. Okay, let's try this one. Ooh, this one's a little bit trickier. We know this to be 113. So right here is 113. And 92. The 2 is in the thousandths place because we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 beyond the decimal. 92 thousandths place. 113 and 92 thousandths place. Okay, we got this one here. Right, this one's a little bit more simple. The 7 is only one digit over in the fractional part, so it's in the tenths place. So we just say this is 7 tenths. 7 tenths. Okay, let's try the last one here. Right, it's 55 hundredths because this 5 here is in the hundredths place. So it's 55 hundredths. There's nothing in the ones or tens, so we just say 55 hundredths. Hundredths. Those are hard to say. Hundredths. All right, we're going to move on to the next slide. So this is kind of working off of the one that had 7 tenths. Since 7 tenths is described with words as 7 tenths, we actually use the same words to describe the number as a fraction. So here we have it written as a decimal, 7 tenths. We write 7 tenths as 7 tenths, which we say as 7 tenths. So what's important here is that the tenths would be over, in fraction form, would be over 10. If it was 0.07, that 7 is in the hundreds place, so it would be 7 over 100. Because the 7 is in the hundredths place, it would be over 100. If the 7 were in the thousandths place, then how we would do that as a fraction is 7 over 1,000. So depending on the place value, that determines what your denominator is going to be. This is in the thousands place, so this is in the thousands place. This is in the tens place because this is in the tens place. This is in the hundreds place because the 7 is in the hundredths place. All right, so let's practice a couple of these. Here's the example that I gave. If we have 19 hundredths, we say this is 19 hundredths. That means that we would write it as 19 over 100. So 19 hundredths. Okay, how do you think you would do B? This one will be multiple choice. Right, so this one, the 1 is in the thousands place. So this number is going to be 391 over 1,000. Okay, what place value is this 1 in? Right, so that means that it's going to be 1 over 1,000 because the 1 is in the thousandths place. Okay, now we've got 19 again, but now the 9 has moved. What place value is the 9 in? Right, the place value it's in is in the thousandths place, so now it's going to be 19 over 1,000. Okay, let's try the next one. Yeah, the 3 is in the tens place, so it's going to be 3/10. Okay, last one. What place value is the 4 in? The 4 is in the thousands place, so our denominator is going to be 1,000, and it's going to be 524 thousandths. We say this is 524 thousandths, so we write it as 524 thousandths. That's how we say it also. Okay, and that is lesson 2.1.2.